Hello, and welcome to Nerds of the Round Table. My name is Paul. Join me and my friends Alex and Patrick as we discuss our week in gaming.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Paul, what have you been up to this week?
Well, this week's been a pretty busy week for me, so I've just mostly been doing work and school stuff, but I did get to play a little bit. I got to play some Magic the Gathering Arena, so
Nice.
that's been pretty fun.
Yep, me too. Busy work, light gaming. So Paul and I have pretty much just been playing Magic together. So week 2, where I'm piggybacking off of someone else. Let's go.
Let's go. Last
do
week
it.
it was me, this week it's Paul. Do you even play your own games?
I think next week I'll probably be piggybacking. I'll just, I was going to say playing with myself, but I don't like that.
Like I
you know,
watched somebody play a game on YouTube. Does that count?
does that count? Is this a gaming?
Is this a gaming? Is this a gamer?
Is that a gamer? Yeah, I knew you were going to roast me for that a little bit.
Yeah, that's okay. Cool. Well, you guys want to know what I've been playing?
I swear to God. I swear to God, Alex.
What?
If you say Assassin's Creed
Playing
one more
Assassin's
time.
Valhalla.
Oh
Still.
my God. Okay,
Listen.
yep. So, hello, guys, and welcome to the Assassin's Creed podcast, where we talk
Welcome.
about assassins and all their creeds.
That's it. Just one
okay.
creed. Bunch of assassins.
Do you even know what the creed is? Or...
I didn't play Origins.
Oh, okay.
That's where like the beginning of it was, where they were the hidden ones, not like that's what they called themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've just been playing more Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Okay. You have 30 seconds, by the way.
I have 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Speedrun Assassin's Creed. I cannot. How many hours do you have into it right now?
Too many. I have about 40 hours into it.
Oh,
and
okay.
I feel like... So I actually do have some valid...
Does that count talking about it on the podcast?
Probably.
Okay.
It's actually running on my other monitor right now. I'm playing right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, fair enough.
I actually do have some valid complaints and things to say on it from previous weeks. So these last few times that I've played, I've been collecting. They have these legendary weapons. If you guys remember some of the older Assassin's Creeds, like you guys played Brotherhood, Ezio Collection, all of those, right?
That's the only one I played ever. I never played one, just Ezio.
Yeah, I know. So you get to explore different tombs or whatever different like locations, and you get seals, and you can unlock in Assassin's Creed 2. You get Altair's armor. In Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, you get like this Wolf Clan armor. Can't remember what they were called. So in this one, there's legendary weapons. I think there's legendary armor, but I've been focusing on legendary weapons. I got Excalibur, which is kind of cool. And
did you find it in a lake?
No. It was in so that's another side story. It was in a sword, and you had to put these tablets in these pillars, and then you could pull the sword from the stone.
Excalibur was in a sword?
Yo, dog,
sorry, it was in a stone.
Like swords.
Oh, okay.
I heard you like swords. We put the sword in the sword.
Oh my God. Okay, continue. Yeah. So it was in a stone. You needed the tablets.
Put the tablets. Got the sword.
Yeah. Okay.
Then I got this legendary bow, and you had to use Excalibur at a lake, and you had to hit a rock with Excalibur as the sun was setting over the hills.
Okay.
Very specific. Paul watched as I streamed for 10 minutes, watching the sun go down in the game.
Oh, wow.
And this is why I have 40 hours in the game.
It's more like 15 minutes, if I'm honest.
Probably.
So you spent more time waiting for the sun to go down than actually putting it.
Than actually playing the game.
Okay.
I do have some complaints. Okay. So if you like the original Assassin's Creed style games, the stealth, running around, all of that, you cannot be stealthy in Valhalla.
Okay.
Which makes sense, I guess, because you're a Viking. You're huge, right? You have tons of armor on, and you're carrying battle axes.
Right.
But you cannot be stealthy unless you're running around with the bow. Assassinations, are almost meaningless, it feels like. Sneaking up behind somebody and assassinating them. Because
I just think that Vikings have a different definition of assassinating, okay? They just throw their battle axe
loud.
at you, you know? They say, battle axe to the face. And that's their assassination. And that, I think, is all you can ask.
Yeah. There's actually their double assassination is you assassinate the first guy and then you throw a throwing axe at the second one nearby.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it is cool. But if you're trying to be stealthy and not alert everybody, it's very annoying unless you just run around with the bow, which is pretty much what I do now.
Right.
So that's my first complaint. My second one is, what is this, 10 games later? And they keep tweaking the free running and the parkour, and it's still terrible. It's bad.
Like they're updating like the game still to fix those things?
No. I mean, like 10 games later, right?
Oh,
You
I see
start
what
with
you're
the
saying.
first game, Assassin's Creed 1, and it's
Mhm.
not going to be perfect. So you make improvements for Assassin's Creed 2, for Brotherhood, for Revelations, for 3, for Black Flag, and every game iteration, the free running should get better. I feel like they accidentally lost the source code and they had to redo it because it's
the intern deleted the file.
The intern deleted the file.
Okay. And much like that intern, I'm going to delete the rest of this Assassin's Creed. Okay. Is there any other big thing that you wanted to talk about? Any other big complaint?
There is.
Okay. This is it. This is the last one. Okay.
It's very
and
repetitive.
I swear, if you. Oh, okay. All right. It's just repetitive. Okay. I was just going to say, and I swear, if you bring up Assassin's Creed next week, I'm going to be
on an island.
Spoopy season. Okay.
So my last complaint is it's very repetitive. If you ever played Assassin's Creed 1, you assassinate a guy, you tail somebody, you do a contract, you find the main guy, you assassinate him, and you do that loop over and over and over and over and over and over again for 8 or 9 sequences. This is very similar. You go to a kingdom, you try to gain allies there, you find the person in charge, talk to them, they have a problem, you fix it, they become your allies. You go back to Homestead, you're given another settlement to try to become allies with, you find out who's in charge, they have a problem, you solve it, they're allies with you, you go back to the Homestead, you find another settlement, you find the person in charge, they have a problem, you fix it, you become allies, and that is the game.
So you mean Fallout 4?
Yeah, pretty much.
Paul, what was that guy's name?
Preston Garvey.
Preston.
Oh my God. Okay,
Another
so this is a Preston
settlement
Garvey simulator. Another settlement needs our help. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Except for you throw axes instead of
not
shoot bullets.
bring Assassin's Creed next week. I promise.
Paul, I swear, if you bring it,
because it's spoopy season.
Okay.
Which means it's time for spoopy games.
Right. And I'm just afraid that you'll bring it because you know I'm afraid that you'll bring it.
Assassin's Creed Vampire Edition.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's probably hexes if we're going to be honest, or hexe. But
hexe.
Yeah.
So,
spooky season.
It's spooky season. And my topic that I want to bring to the table today, I'm going to start by asking Paul's opinion, since I know that he doesn't like horror games. What makes a game scary for you, Paul? Because you hate horror games.
I do.
Practically refuse to play them.
That's true.
You, from a logical standpoint, you know the game is fake. You know nothing's real. Nothing's going to get you in real life. You're not going to go to sleep and the boogeyman from the game comes and gets you, right? Why are you afraid of playing these games?
But in Paul's defense, it's not a non-zero percentage. It's just a very low percentage.
2%.
2%. Like milk.
Like milk. Paul, you're like a fine milk.
You're like a
oh God.
Spoiled.
That is not the culture that people say you should get.
It's okay. So why? What makes a game scary and why do you refuse to play them?
Right.
See, it's weird because like I'll sit and like watch somebody else play one and it's not really an issue.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the isolation factor for me.
Okay.
at least for myself, gaming tends to be a more often than not something I do by myself.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to keep my environments very dark.
Mm-hmm.
So it's usually pitch black, and I startle very easily. Like somebody could be in the other room and like drop a fork, and I'll like jump, right? Legitimately.
I'm
Yeah, but,
just imagining that.
right. But spoons are on the table. They're
Spoons
fair.
are fine.
Yeah,
Spoons are
spoons are
fine.
fine. Yeah.
Right.
Forks.
Yeah, forks are dude, it's just like a mini pitchfork. Don't even. Um
Okay.
yeah, I think it's just the isolation factor for me
Okay.
is what terrifies me. That and the fact that like they're always so dark and I have bad vision. Like, please don't make it harder to see. That's hard enough on me as it is. I hate that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like,
So it
no.
was interesting because I don't think you have a problem watching any like horror movies, right? Like
I do
you're
not watch
scary
those either.
movies. Oh no, you
He
don't watch
doesn't
them either. Ah, okay.
watch them.
No.
He will if you're like, hey, come over. Let's watch a movie together. Hey, let's go to the movie theaters to watch
Paul
this.
said,
We went to
"Hey,
go see
come
we went to
over,"
go see
like
the
that.
It remake together,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that was actually terrifying. There were a few scenes there that were like, oh shit. So Paul will watch them. He'll watch other people play horror games.
Right.
But speaking to your isolation thing, Paul won't even play a horror game if you're in the room right next to him.
Oh yeah, I don't trust you. That's why. I don't trust people.
You could be holding his hand and he won't play it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Interesting.
no. Horror bad.
So what makes it okay? So the separation being alone, even if you turn the brightness all the way up,
Uh
brightness all the way up, music all the way down, right? Because I think that's actually one of the scariest things about it, right? I'm not sure if you
Music?
guys have seen it. Yeah, the music in like scary movies or like scary games. Have you seen there are a couple edits on YouTube of I don't know, let's just say It for example, but they removed the music that came with the movie and put like laugh tracks in certain scenarios, and it changes the entire ambiance of it.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Sound plays a
So
huge factor in that.
Oh, a major factor. Like I've edited some horror stuff for work, and like I it's funny, I hate all this stuff, but I have a giant collection to be able to make something if I wanted. But like it's weird, like when I'm working on it or something or watching someone else play it, it's like enough of a disconnect because I'm not focused on it. But like when I play it, it's almost like I hyper focus and it just I get really, really anxious and I just don't like it.
Okay. So isolation. What
Mhm.
if you had the door open in your room? Your parents are home. Everything's fine. The whole house is lit up. You still feel the isolation and scare and it's scary for that reason?
Yeah, because I get so engrossed in it, really,
So
is what it
immersed
is.
in it? Okay.
Yeah. But like that's not to say that I never play them. There's been a couple that I have that I really enjoyed. And I think what really saved those for me is they were incredibly story heavy. So I could
Which
focus on
which
that.
ones did you play?
Like Alan Wake
Oh,
right.
or BioShock.
I don't know if Bioshock would be like a horror game, or like a
it's
scary game. Is it?
there
Is it
no.
like steampunk ish?
Yes
But
and no. There are some aspects that are scary. They're creepy. I wouldn't throw it in the horror game section per se. That would be the quote unquote horror game that I would give my 10-year-old child to start them out on it, right?
right,
Because it's just enough creepiness and overall horror that
yeah,
it's a good starter. It's a good introduction to it.
right.
Because there are some moments where enemies pop out, and when they do,
Mm,
the whole music and sound effects come in, and you know that shit's going down.
right,
But I wouldn't call it horror.
yeah,
And then like I also like being able to, and maybe that's the difference with those games, you can fight back. right? You're not helpless. You're not just running away.
That.
Right.
Yes. What was it? Outlast,
Mhm.
where all you have is a video camera and you're running around and you have to continuously, there's like a light on the video camera, right? And you have to continuously put batteries in there. Otherwise, you don't have light anymore.
Yeah, this is
Right.
the one where like you're in, I don't know, like an insane asylum or something, and you're running around with a video
You go to
camera.
like I don't remember if it's an insane asylum
is.
or like a hospital. Is it? Okay.
Oh yeah.
I think it's
Okay.
like both.
And then you
column
have to like hide in like closets and like lockers and stuff and find batteries. And
Yeah,
like
so
if your
it's
camera
hide and
dies
seek.
completely. Okay.
And seek. If you run out of batteries, you just have very low light, low vision.
Mhm.
Because if I remember correctly, you're not holding up the video camera the whole time, but you do hold it up, and that is your source of light. So you
it's
look
your
through
like
it, and it has like
flashlight.
night vision. Mm-hmm.
Got it. Okay.
So yes, I definitely agree. When you can't fight back, there is a whole nother level of scariness, horror to it, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Because you can't just unload bullets and kill this thing. You
Right.
have to run. You have to hide. Your anxiety is spiked.
Mm-hmm.
Hide and seek, yeah, I would definitely say that makes a scary game.
Yeah, I guess that's true. If you don't have an, and one thing that was mentioned there is like I think back to the Bioshocks, like the jump scares. Like Five Nights at Freddy's was really really popular for a long time, and
I
I
hate
think
jump
again,
scares.
which is funny because you're the only one who played it here.
It's a gimmick. No, I did play
Yeah.
it. I played, I think all of them except I think I stopped at 4. After that, it became too much.
Yeah.
There were too many to keep up with, and I just fell out of it. But yeah, I don't like jump scares because I think it's a gimmick. I don't think it makes it. I think it makes a game scary, but not for the reason of it's scary, just for the reason of something popped out, and that's like if you come over and I'm hiding behind the door and you walk in and I pop out and I scare you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a scary person. I just
Right.
startled you. It's a startling game. It's a startling moment.
Probably both, but yeah.
Paul still won't play those, but
No.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
think
definitely think it's the cheapest way to get a jump out of people, and overused. What's the quote by Alan Hitchcock, Paul?
Alfred Hitchcock.
No,
Yeah, he was.
Alan, his brother, his genius brother,
Yeah.
you don't know Alan
I
unrecognized in his
believe.
time.
I believe that
how
quote was true, I
uncultured,
guess.
like a 2% milk.
But yeah, the quote was, he was asked, why do you not show the imagery in your films?
Mhm.
Just doing things like silhouettes. And he says, I can never create something as scary as what your mind can create. I'm
Mhm.
paraphrasing here, but that's why he would
Right,
do that.
right. And I think that ties back to like Five Nights at Freddy is a good example. Like the jump scares will get you, and like I think when you initially launch the game, it's kind of creepy. It's like a haunted Chuck E. Cheese, and like the animatronics are a little bit like scary, just inherently. They're a little creepy looking intentionally, but you desensitize to it because you can see what the thing is, right, continuously. And like the longer you play the game, the more desensitized you are to it, and eventually the jump scares don't even scare you. It's all like pattern recognition was the whole shtick of the game. And then kind of with a plot forced back in after the fact, ironically, but
It was kind of in the underlying, like, hidden parts of the game, right? If you
sure.
looked at, they would, if you listen to the messages, they talked about like the bite and the last person didn't stay and all that different. There's some stuff like sprinkled in there.
Right.
To that point, Five Nights at Freddy's is only I won't call it scary. It's only unsettling because as a player, you feel underpowered and overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
Underpowered because all you have is a tablet to look at cameras and doors to lock, lights to see if there's anything standing out there. Overwhelmed, because you have to keep track of 4 animatronics. And then there's the golden Freddy that pops out. There might be a pattern to that, but
And battery, right? For keeping the
and
things
battery
going.
Everything alive, yeah.
because you're in a room with a generator because they turn off all the lights. Doesn't make sense, but that's fine. You're underpowered. No way of protecting yourself except for locking a door with limited power. And you're overwhelmed trying to keep track of 4 animatronics and figure out where they're going, what they're doing. That's what makes it unsettling, I guess. It gives you higher levels of anxiety, much like hide and seek games, right? Higher levels of anxiety. You're underpowered, overwhelmed with what's going on. The jump scares, I would say the first couple of times they get you, but they play on the jump scares, not in you're walking down a dark, creepy corridor and it's quiet. Boo! Something jumps out, right?
Right.
That's not what gets you.
No.
It gets you by you're not paying attention to something on the left side. You're focused on the right side and the other 3 animatronics. And the one gets you because you weren't focused on it and you just had the high anxiety trying to take care of everything else. I would say from that, jump scares are a cheap tactic, but making a player feel like they have no power or little power and overwhelming them with a lot is a good tactic.
Yeah, I can see that. But even like when Five Nights at Freddy was coming out initially, right? Like 1, 2, and 3, back to back to back. People are like, these are scary games, to play. And now I'm not sure if they're even considered like scary games. There's like a whole bunch of, I don't know, like merch and stuff for it, and it's kind of popped off in a different way. And I'm not sure it's even considered like a horror game anymore. So it's kind of interesting.
It
Security
didn't look
breach looks like what? Not even close to what it was.
Right. Which is fine. They can adapt and change as they see fit. But like, I don't think it's even viewed as a scary game. And I mean, I don't know. Are games even really that scary anymore? I can't think of anything that's come out in like the last. I mean, Until Dawn, kind of, right? But that's more suspense, kind of like Friday the 13th game that we used to play together, right?
Yeah.
But I would argue we made that scary, not the game.
No,
kind of
so the
buggy.
game is scary because, again, it's like a hide and seek.
Yeah.
You, as a counselor, you have little to no power. Underpowered, overwhelmed, again. You're hiding. You're trying to... Your focus is on finding a way to escape, right? Filling up the car with gas, getting the keys, or filling up the boat with gas, getting the different parts. You're focused on trying to escape. And so when you see Jason Voorhees come up to you, and he's faster than you, right? He has all these powers to be able to like move quick and teleport. And there was like, I think there was like a flash forward teleport kind of thing. And it was scary. That's what made it scary, I would say. So you said in the last how many years you don't think there's a good horror game?
I don't know. Resident Evil, if you count that, but it's more of like in a kind of post-apocalyptic like environment, and it's more of like survival. And I guess it's the same thing. It's like removing elements of control from the player. But I don't know. I can't name one in the last like 2 to 3 years that I think is legitimately like scary. Because what did you mention before? What's the first one with like the camera?
Outlast.
Outlast, like that's a scary game. I remember when it came out, I was not interested in playing that at all because, again, that's not much like Paul. That's not my genre. I just don't like it. I don't want to pay for that experience for the same reason I don't go to see those movies. It's not that I dislike them. I just don't want it. It's just not the kind of experience I'm looking for.
What about Phasmophobia, or however you say that one?
That one's fun, but it's a little bit different, right? It's like cooperative. and like common goal, and it's fun to like sit there and like with camaraderie, and try to, I don't know. Phasmophobia is like ghost busting for me, which is a lot of fun. Yeah. And it's really fun when you have like a group of 4 and you leave somebody in the house and you like irritate the ghost right on your way out. And then the next thing you know, you walk back in and you take a picture of the body for the insurance money, which is very real, by the way. That was a great mechanic to include. But games like that where it's cooperative against, like it's like PvE, right? Players versus the environment. It's more fun for me. I have a lot more of appeal there if we're cooperatively working like that. And I can do it. And the risk versus reward scale in my mind is like, okay, I'm having a fun time with my friends. We're all going to be a little bit scared. But again, after a while, you recognize the pattern and it doesn't become scary anymore.
Mm-hmm. It's the unknown and not knowing the pattern. I will also say I don't know of a good horror game that is cooperative. To Paul's first comment, isolation, right? A single player, story driven game, horror game, is always going to be scarier than the 4-player play with your friends cooperative Phasmophobia. Phas was fun. Don't get me wrong. But it's never going to be as scary as Outlast.
Right.
For that reason. Now, if you took a horror game, let's say you take Phasmophobia, right? Except instead of being in a van, you're ghost hunters and you got separated from your friend and crew. And you're in a huge insane asylum. And you guys all split off, ran in different directions, dropped all your walkie-talkies. You're all isolated from each other with no means of communication until each of you finds your walkie-talkie. So you find it on the floor somewhere, right? Or until you bump into somebody else. So you find it on the floor and you're, hey, hello, can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? Is anyone? Oh, shit. I think that would make a fun horror game because it would actually be scary and you could play with your friends.
You know,
because
funny
you're
enough,
isolated.
Five Nights at not Five Nights. Friday the 13th had that mechanic where
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
we kind of ended up being in a Discord call sometimes, but where you would have to find a radio to be able to communicate with other people. So you're right. I think the isolation does a good job of making you inside your own head enough to where it's scary.
Yeah.
What
The
about
last-
like the Blair Witch Project?
That was scary for me for other reasons. Blair
Fair
Witch
enough.
terrified me as a child.
Blair Witch just terrified you?
Yeah,
Like
I
how
think I
so?
was 9 years old and I watched
Okay.
the Blair Witch Project, and it just scared me. It was it was really the first of its kind, right? Where you had the POV style of 3 amateurs with a camcorder, couple of them, right? And they go out, shit goes down, and they all go missing. And if you ever went to the Blair Witch website, it legit pretended as if these college kids were missing. So me, as a kid, you know, in the .com era when
Right.
the internet was booming and my parents would kick me off by making a phone call and my AOL would disconnect.
Right.
Seeing that site and watching that movie, I was like, oh shit, this is real. Blair Witch is going to get me while I sleep. That was the only movie that ever terrified me as a child. So my love for horror came when I was 6 years old and my mom sat me down. I came home from kindergarten one day. She sat me down and she said, I'm watching this movie. You should watch it with me. I think you would like it. I said, okay, cool. What's it called? She said, it's called Child's Play. I said, I'm a child. I like to play. Hell yeah, I'll watch it. And that was really my introduction to horror. And it's just become a love ever since. So to Patrick's point, I will pay the $70 for a game. I will turn off every light in my house. I will kick everyone out of my house.
Turn down the brightness.
Turn down the brightness. No, I actually hate games that are super dark. It takes away from the immersion, right? Because then I'm just bumping into things, and me as a player, I'm angry and frustrated, and something pops up, and I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I'm trying to fix the brightness.
Right.
I'll kick everyone out of the house. I'll unlock the front door so somebody can like sneak in and spook me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I want that horror experience. I want to be fully immersed in it. I want something to scare me because I haven't found a horror game that could really like unnerve or unsettle me. So Resident Evil, to Patrick talking about the last good horror games, right? Resident Evil 7, was it?
Yeah, Village.
No, not Village also.
Right.
So
I thought
Resident
eight.
Evil
I thought
6
eight was the house. Is that what you're talking about?
Let me look it up.
Okay.
Biohazard. It was 7. It was.
Biohazard. Okay.
Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. It was a really good game. It didn't scare me. There were a couple moments that did get me that I was like, oh shit. But it was a jump scare. So but it was a good game. It isolated you. It immersed you. You had shitty weapons, right? With little ammo. Not hordes of enemies, but you had enemies thrown at you. You had like mob bosses where it was this family, right? And they were really creepy. They're like cannibals or something. And they just had like this gross house. And each of them turned into like some crazy, powerful, like beast of a monster. Like it wasn't just a shotgun bullet to the head and it died. You had to fight like the dad, and there was one that turned into like this insect lady.
Oh, that was the mom. Yeah,
The mom. Yeah. So that game was really good. That was probably the closest. VR.
No, thank you.
VR. I
Nope.
think that is the way to get me. I didn't play Resident Evil Biohazard in VR, but I really wanted to. That, I think, is the way to get me.
Yeah.
Not only are you isolated, but you are fully immersed. There's let me check the time.
Put
My
it on with a good
notification went
pair
off.
of
Let me look at my
headphones.
phone.
I mean, that's true. There's also no fucking way you're going to get me to put that on. So
Not happening.
We should do a live stream.
Okay.
Where you guys come out here and we play horror VR games.
Horror VR.
Right,
Okay.
where you play horror VR games.
I'll put that in the budget for next year.
Okay. I'll accept. So Resident Evil Biohazard, Resident Evil Village, I didn't play much of it, but I did play a little bit, and it was pretty creepy. I would say horror games aren't as scary as they used to be. Maybe we've become desensitized to them.
Maybe. Yeah,
Much
I mean, if you look at...
I think that could be a part of it, but also to like what you were saying, like the scary ones are like the hide and seek.
Mm-hmm.
I would say like if I did play those kind of games, I don't know if I'd want to play that a ton because I'm like at this point I'm just watching an interactive movie. Like I want to actually be a part of the game. And I feel like you kind of don't get that when you're just doing hide and seek.
Oh, you can still interact with the world. Open doors, pull levers, take different paths, fuck with different monsters.
I think that's why Until Dawn is like really popular, right? Because it's basically that mechanic.
I didn't play it. The Quarry is supposed to be very close to it.
Wait, what am I thinking of?
You might be thinking of the Dark Pictures anthology.
No, hold on.
No?
Yeah,
Until Dawn was the like the PlayStation like
where
party one. Yeah.
It was a bunch of different characters, I guess.
Counselors, yeah.
Were they counselors? No, it says players assume control of 8 young adults who have to survive Blackwood Mountain when their lives are threatened. So it's 8 adults, and it was interesting because as you play through like one person, if they die, they're gone in the game. You have to play through somebody else. So the Quarry came out June, July. I think it was June. And it's supposed to be very reminiscent of this. I don't know if it's the same developer, but it's supposed to be pretty close to this, except that's the one you play as the camp counselors.
Okay.
Right.
See, I don't like horror games, but
Dead
like
by Daylight is what I'm thinking of.
Oh.
Dead by Daylight is the 4v1.
Right.
That's like Evolve, if you guys remember that, but just with horror monsters instead.
We don't talk about Evolve.
We don't talk about Evolve. But yeah. I mean, we can talk about Evolve. It was scary how bad that game was. Yeah.
You want a scary game? That was scary.
I mean, listen, I thought it was interesting. I wanted it to be good. The evolution trees were kind of sick, but it was not good. But yeah, Dead by Daylight is what I'm thinking of, and it's like a 4v1, very much like Friday the 13th. Like same where like you have different monsters, different interactions with the players, trying to escape. I don't know, a camp.
Different environments. They weren't all
Right.
camps. There were different maps
Yeah,
with
the
different
woods.
objectives, different way to get out.
But I would say this is probably the most popular contemporary like horror game that's coming out in a while. Like came out in a while, and it came out June 14th of 2016, at least to Steam, as far as I can tell. Yeah, and it's had a whole bunch of DLC for it, like a Resident Evil bundle, a Silent Hill bundle. So it seems like this is just the dump stat for all the horror games where like, oh, if you want to relive some of the Silent Hill characters, we can put them into this game. And instead of like creating their own version, what was the Hideo Kojima game that was
PT?
supposed
Well,
Yeah,
it was
PT, right?
Silent Hills, but PT
Oh, it was
the
Silent
playable
Hills. Okay.
teaser.
with him and Guillermo del Toro, right?
Right. That game was supposed to be really good and supposed to come out, and then he made the delivery service.
Death Stranding,
Yeah, I'd like to think of it as Hideo Kojima's delivery service. He just watched Kiki's delivery service. But
I thought there was an announcement that Hideo Kojima and Guillermo del Toro were working again on a horror game. Am I?
They didn't say
misremembering?
horror game, but they are working on something new.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, Death Stranding was not a horror game. It was weird though. That was weird. It was.
I never played it.
They took Daryl from The Walking Dead, put him into a video game, and then made him deliver babies. Not like in an operating room, but like in basically,
Strapped to his chest, yeah.
Yeah, strapped to his chest, yeah, and like embryo sacs. It was weird. It was very weird. Geometry.
So
yeah.
wasn't that the same? I don't remember the actor's name, but Daryl from The Walking Dead. Was he in PT?
Yes.
Was he?
So what it sounds like is Hideo Kojima had already bought the actor and bought the time and had a contract, and he's like, "Fuck, I don't want to lose this money. Let's just make a game."
True. I mean, that could very well be the case. And I guess they're rumored to be making a Death Stranding sequel, but
I mean, it did well from what I understood. Norman Reedus. I had to look up his name. Yeah, Norman Reedus.
Okay.
So another good horror game, Alien Isolation.
Ooh,
that was kind of revolutionary in a sense. So it utilized the Kinect back when Xbox was supporting it, right?
Right.
And it could do, I don't know how the technology worked, but it claimed that it could figure out a player's heart rate. And it could use that to do different things to like trigger the monster. Or no. Maybe it wasn't the heart rate. It was the sound.
Was sound.
It would use
a live mic.
Yes. Sorry. There was a game that used the heart rate, I thought. I'll find that. It used sound. So as you're playing the game, if there was a jump scare and you're like, "Oh shit." Well, the Kinect picked up on that. And so did the Alien. And I thought that was really cool. Where basically you have to stay silent in this game.
Right. No, I think that's a cool aspect, like pulling in your mic and you're forced to use it, and the game can do whatever they want with it. But
I just remember you playing Alien Isolation, and like I was over, and I would just like randomly yell or something.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, I know, it was great.
So I looked up game that uses your heart rate monitor. It says this game Nevermind. I don't think that was the one I was thinking about, but whatever. That'd be cool. Yeah, no, Alien Isolation didn't use your heart rate. It used the background noise. That's right. I remember.
Oh,
now.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to be surprised if it used heart rate. I was like, I have no idea how that would work.
I don't
They
know how
were
the
just taking
connector would get
guesses.
it. Yeah. I could see maybe if there were some kind of sensor in the controller, but
Yo, they
Yeah.
could do that for a VR game,
maybe.
or especially because imagine like it can hook up to your if you have like a wearable, like a smartwatch or something.
Mhm.
Like somebody could do it.
Oh yeah, if you hooked up to a smartwatch, that would be
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, and it would have to pair up to like your current smartwatch, but it'd be difficult, I think, to
wow.
integrate, but still possible.
So I just looked up a list, this subjective, right? Article of the best horror games of all time, top 50.
Okay.
At number 1, they put Resident Evil.
Okay.
They didn't specify which
That's
one.
fair.
They just put Resident Evil. That's
Probably
fine.
Resident Evil 1.
At 2, they put Amnesia: The Dark Descent, which is fine as well. At 3, they put Silent Hill 2, still pretty fair. At 4, they put Last of Us.
I
I didn't
disagree
think that
because
was a
I
horror
played
game.
that.
Oh, no, I mean, I can see where they're coming from. Last of Us is set in a zombie universe, right? Very apocalypse. I mean, it's
But to put that on a top 50,
It was an action adventure
moreover,
game.
to put it in a top 5,
Yeah, it
Left
was a
4 Dead
great
2.
story.
Left 4 Dead 2, they ranked at 8.
yeah, but
Left
Left
4
4
Dead
Dead
2?
2 is kind of like a hack and slash more than,
Left
in
4
like
Dead
Yeah.
horde
2
mode.
beats Dead Space. Left 4 Dead 2 beats
Oh,
Outlast
it
on their
beats
list.
Dead Space? Oh,
So
Yeah.
Dead
Dead Space was
Space.
terrifying.
I
Oh my
forgot about Dead
god.
Space. What's the
Yeah.
other game? Is it the Dead Space developers that are making it? What's that other game I'm
If
thinking
Yeah,
of?
yeah.
Old Dead Space developers, it's the Celeste.
hmm
What's it called?
The Celeste?
The Celeste? Maybe that's not what I'm thinking about.
Uh,
Well, it's
Which one are
teased
you thinking
recently. Yeah.
because like there's been a few that have been teased recently. Like the Celeste was
Pretty
of
sure it
not
comes out this
Avowed,
month.
Agony. So I think Agony is one.
Mm, no, that doesn't sound right either.
I mean, again, not my genre.
I thought for sure you guys would know this one.
No, I mean,
I'm gonna spend some time to look this up.
I
real
mean,
quick.
yeah.
yeah,
I'm
you'd
pretty
have to
sure it's what
describe
Paul
it a bit
said.
more.
It's like the developer of Dead Space, and it's their new game.
Yeah, it's the old team from Dead Space. That's the Celeste.
Right.
Yeah, and
The-
they just teased
the
it.
Callisto Protocol.
Okay, so it's not the Celeste.
You kept
it's
saying the
Callisto.
Celeste. I was like, that's not the Callisto
Ooh,
Protocol.
Yeah, the Callisto
Hey.
Protocol.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
this looks
that
sick.
looks terrifying.
Yeah, I'll probably try to play that, actually.
December.
I will
December
watch
2nd is
one
the
of you
release
play
date I'm
that.
seeing.
Wow.
Oh, you won't play it, Paul?
I don't know if I would. No,
Didn't you play Dead Space?
no.
No, he didn't. I did.
That's surprising. Okay, so circling back. Isolation.
Yeah.
Being completely alone.
Mhm.
Underpowered. Overwhelmed. Jump scares are a gimmick. The music can create the creepy environment, but it can't be overused. I feel it can't. I feel sometimes it's overused to
I think
where
sometimes there's bad integration. Yeah.
bad integration could be.
I don't know what else to call it, but like the false startles, like where they're building up
Yeah.
like something's happening and you like open a door and it's just a broom falling over, a cat running out, something like that.
Okay, I think those are kind of funny though.
What was that?
I like them.
Immortality, the game that recently came to Game Pass, about where you have to search through like video footage and clip it and do different things like that. Paul was terrified to play it because it said in the beginning, the music was kind of creepy, and it said in the beginning, what was the disclaimer, Paul?
It was just a big old warning that it like tough subjects. jumps. I don't think it said jump scares, but like
It said
the
something that Paul
yeah
thought meant jump scare. He said that it seems like this might be a scary jump scare kind of game. So I
Mhm.
played about 30 minutes of it for Paul just so I could see. It was not
yeah
scary at all, but it was very creepy. The whole
yeah.
like ambiance of it was very creepy. It was very unsettling. So I could understand how
I think I
somebody might.
played an hour and a half of it eventually, actually.
Okay.
But um, it's creepy, but that's not my big issue with it. It's just confusing as all hell. Um, and this is coming from someone with a background in film.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm like, no, this is just terrible. Like they give you zero direction, really. They're
Mhm.
like, here's how you
Yeah,
operate the machine. Bye.
it wasn't good. So to that point, the ambiance, the build up, the creepy environment with some slight rustling in the bushes and a deer that comes out that really has nothing to do with anything, right? It
Mhm.
just scared you for no good reason.
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
That deer was an important part of that game. How dare you?
it was an integral part of the story. The deer that jumps out for no reason, oh man, I thought that was going to be scary. You let your guard down for a little bit. Then there's some creepy bodies in the forest. There's a pool of blood leading out to something in the bushes, and there's the deer's mother. And you're like, oh God, I thought that was going to be something scary. And then you turn around and something pops out and it gets you. And it's like kind of a jump scare, but it doesn't use the cheap tactic. It uses the ambiance of the environment. That everything was creepy. They were setting up that something was going to happen, and they waited for the moment that you let your guard down.
Mhm.
That's good.
Yeah, and I think the focus has been too much on multiplayer games
Hmm.
last 5 to 10 years, and people are getting fatigued. And I mean, I think this is something that PlayStation does very well. They always, for their exclusives, focus on single player story driven games,
Hmm.
and they're very successful. And even Until Dawn and Dead by Daylight. Well, I actually think Until Dawn was, or Dead by Daylight was the multiplayer one, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Like even that one, multiplayer. It's not like a single player horror. And the only ones that are really being made now are just remakes of Resident Evil. So like Resident Evil 2, that remake came out, and it's a good game. And I'm not going to say that it didn't deserve a remake. I think it entirely did, but it was to recapture, that story. And I mean, it was really more than just a remaster. It was a complete remake of the game, and to be able to tell that story again, I think was great. But it's not necessarily that scary now. I think the resource management and being able to uh, like know where things are, solving the puzzles most efficiently, makes it hard or scary. But
It's the
it's
last
different,
couple of Resident Evils that have taken that turn.
right?
Probably the first one was scary too. I never played the first one. I played 2, 3, 4, 5, a little bit of 5, and then Biohazard and a little bit of Village. I need to finish that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the reason the first one was as scary as it was or is like highly regarded is just because it was one of the first games to really do that, especially with like 3D ish graphics,
Hmm.
right? It wasn't just pictures on a screen kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really glad they remade them because I didn't play the originals, and I think now it's too far to go back. Those games are really hard to go back to. Now that
Right.
we have, new new quality of life enhancements on all games, right? You have fast travel stuff. So it's hard to go back to a game that doesn't fast travel. You're like, oh fuck this, I'm not gonna play it.
Right.
So I like that they remade it
Mm-hmm.
because I got to play through them because I would never have gone back to the originals. I think those are fine as remakes, and those are fine enough. They weren't overall very scary. Maybe a little. There were a few intense moments, but nothing over the top scary. Was it Resident Evil 3 that had X Gon give it to you? That guy that chased you around?
Oh no
Yeah.
no no!
I thought that was two.
Was it 2?
I
I
know.
thought so.
I don't remember which remaster it was, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Where he kicks down the door and just
go give it to
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh my god.
The like giant 9-foot tall thing.
Yeah. I forget what his
Resident
name
Evil.
is. Yeah. Was it
I
2?
think so. Yeah,
Okay.
I see. I
Yeah, I'll
see
call it.
pictures
Sure.
here. Resident
Sure.
Evil 2. Yes.
That was great.
That was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And see, that was even more funny than it was scary. It was like, oh shit, why? I'm just trying to enter the door. How do you know I'm
Right.
standing here? You know? It was more startling than scary, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I circling back, I will agree there hasn't been a very good horror game that's come out in a while. That's why I'm really excited for Alan Wake 2.
Yes.
We could
Well,
literally
you played
spend
Alan Wake 1, right? You played the remaster, Paul?
I didn't play the remaster yet,
the OG.
but
Okay.
I have played the original. I think I played it a couple times. Love that game.
Okay. Now, what makes you able to play that game instead of other?
The story. I was
Okay.
so intrigued by it. I was like, I'll deal with being scared
Wow.
because I want to know. And like that's not a feeling I get from the others, like the Outlast and some of the others you mentioned. I'm like, there's nothing hooking me here. The appeal is to be scared, and I don't like that feeling.
Right.
So yeah, no,
Whereas Alan Wake was more of a story-driven narrative that you got sucked into, and it was just a side effect that it was scary that you were willing to deal with.
exactly, because
More than it was
yeah.
a horror game, and that's why you jumped into it.
Exactly, yes.
I get you.
I'm very excited for 2.
We could spend
Very,
literally a
very,
whole episode talking about 2, but I won't do that to you
absolutely.
guys.
When does 2 come out?
I think
No
it's still
release
TBD.
Yeah.
Oh, it's still TBD. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
That and the music in them is always great.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
so good.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Like scary music, good for ambiance, or just
Just good
banging?
music.
Both.
Oh,
Both.
okay.
Yeah.
Both.
Both. I think the end of Alan Wake 1, when the the credits are rolling, they're playing Space Odyssey by David Bowie.
Yeah. And then there's
Oh,
that
okay.
one where you're at the like concert.
Mhm.
It was War by Poets of the Fall. So good. Like I purposely tracked down what that song was because I was like, I love this.
Yeah.
Sick.
But
Very
like Remedy's good with that too. Like they did similar with Control, which is I don't know, would that be horror,
No.
pseudo horror?
No.
But
It was
I enjoyed
creepy.
that one.
I would throw Control into the same category. I would throw BioShock into.
Okay,
Maybe
so all
even
my games
less.
aren't horror.
There were a few moments that were kind of creepy and unsettling, but it was more than anything like guards that you were fighting with superpowers. Like you had superpowers.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I wouldn't say it was scary per se. I would not classify it as a horror game. No.
Right.
Right. So what I have learned this week is I have never played a real horror game.
No.
Me too.
And
Yeah.
we will change that.
We will not.
Yeah. I'm in that camp. Not changing it.
Well, I think that's it for me, guys. Thank you
Okay.
thanks for telling me your guys' insight on that. It's really interesting from somebody who doesn't think that movies are scary. Like the lady that I live with, she will literally watch a scary movie and afterwards she's like, how can you just turn over and fall asleep? I'm like, what do you mean? She said, you're not scared? You're not unsettled by what we just watched? No, I'm not. Good night.
That's a great impersonation, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I thought
I couldn't
I've
even
been working on it.
yeah, I thought she walked in the room there
I
for a
thought she walked
second.
in. And she's like,
Yeah.
you could just turn over. You're not scared by any of that? No, I'm not. Good night.
So
I'm trying to go to bed.
I think what I learned is that you were just scarred as a young child,
Maybe.
desensitized to it, and now you just like it.
It's like what is it? Sadism? Is that the one?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Masochism.
Is it?
Schism. Same thing.
No, sadism likes inflicting the pain and whatnot, masochism likes receiving it.
I'm a masochist for horror.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That checks out.
Yeah.
It does.
But it's always interesting to me too, as like I said, horror movies don't scare me. I can watch them and go to sleep and be perfectly fine. Horror games don't scare me. I can play them, go to sleep, be perfectly fine.
Mhm.
Not really scared in the moment too much. There are a couple parts that'll creep me out, but it's always interesting to hear from, your guys' perspective as people that don't play them too much or don't enjoy to play them because you get scared by them or unsettled by them, whatever word you want to use. It's interesting to me to deep dive into why you guys don't like to play them. So thank you for
Yeah.
that.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Yeah.
And
problem.
circling back to the sadist masochist thing, I think you're a little bit of both. You're masochist because you love horror, and you're sadist because every week you want to tell me more about Assassin's Creed.
Just wait for next week.
I hope not.
Oh no.
I hope not.
Bye.
That's the real scares here.
That's the real scary.